Welcome to the Divorce Devil Podcast, a show tailor-made for those stepping out of the divorce recovery space. Follow your hosts, David and Rachel, as they dive into the all-too-familiar shitstorm of the more than interesting end-of-the-road divorce topics, stories, and discussions. While realizing it can be a trying stage, they have been where you are and understand the struggle. And yes, the struggle is real. They know that recovery can be such a clusterfuck. Check out the podcast if you feel like you're juggling chainsaws, then strap in and hold on for some honesty, authenticity, and hard-in-your-face, irrefutable truths. This innovative podcast is not for the faint-hearted, so if you can't handle the certain truths, just keep it moving. If you can, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Out here to Divorce Devil episode 178. See how it's just boom.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I actually have to say, I love our conversations before we record.
Man. One day we're going to record the conversations before. It's going to be great.
We can't be in a bad mood.
Oh, heck no. You got to laugh that shit off. No matter how bad it is, now you're laughing and you're crying a little bit, but life is
I'm
good.
not crying. I'm not crying.
Because we are fortunate in our lives. We have great jobs. We love our families. And so we're just so fortunate.
Today's word is kinda.
It's kinda. Today is episode 178. Off the cuff. Yesterday I sent some topics to Rachel and she didn't reply. In fact,
I didn't.
Yeah, no.
Because I was doing nothing.
So we're going to do, people like our 2-part, 3-part, 5-part. So today we're going to do the 5-part, the divorce storm. So 3 parts of the storm are get the sandbags ready because we're screwed stage.
Well, it's the prep. It's
the prep.
Something's happening. You hope it's not divorce, but then you're like,
or they pull the trigger too.
in a row.
Yeah. Wah, wah. And so then we have the eye of the storm, which I think is a misnomer because the eye of the storm is calm. When you're in the middle of divorce, man, it's a motherfucker. Mm-hmm. So that's a misnomer, but it sounds cool.
But yeah, I think people don't get that too. Like when you're in the midst and it's right over you,
it's like bam.
You got nothing. So you really have to be in that calm state to start to come out of that storm, as you say.
And then the third stage is the storm stage. The storm is gone and you look back and say, man, that was jacked.
And then there's also the parts too, like tiny waves come in and you're like, oh, that's just remnants from that storm. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's because of that. That's because I didn't set a boundary. That's because of this. And so these steps, especially if you're just in it, I know a lot of us are been out of it for a while and we still meet people every day, like just going through it, or I went through it, or
have I got a podcast for you?
Oh gosh, I say that more than you would know. I'm like, do you know? And the craziest thing too is I don't know if there's
do you have a little magnet on your head where people come to you and say, hey,
I almost think
I'm
that
getting divorced. Okay.
I freely talk about mine a lot. Just I don't say my past. I guess I do say, I say in Act 1, when this was happening, I had a great life. And I don't want people to think, oh, you automatically have to say you had a terrible life because you're going through divorce. I had a great life until I didn't. The person I was with was no longer my person. And no matter what, there were still great memories. There was we had all the things. We had the in sickness, the health, the deaths, all of the things. And we came out of it. It was when we let other people decide how we were going to navigate our life is when our life fell apart a lot.
Collateral damage. All right, back to our podcast.
No, that's what I'm getting. Okay, I'm getting to that point.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of times when you start talking about divorce, you can go back and go, that's the day that I finally made that decision. This wasn't working for me. And a lot of times what happens is we don't discuss it with our partner.
Or somebody made that decision for me.
Yeah. And so in your head, you could have been contemplating, like, why do I keep letting someone talk to me like that? Why am I allowing someone to make me fifth, or someone cheated on me, or someone did this, or someone did that? And I think from last podcast too, I think I've taken another. What are you touching, David?
Nothing.
We have ghosts.
Yes. Wow. That's weird.
Okay.
So get the sandbags ready. So what are sandbags?
So that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of times when you're in the midst of contemplating divorce, you don't realize you're getting your sandbags ready. You don't realize that you're preparing for the storm because, like you said, someone pulls a trigger. So that definite date of, oh, that's when I was done. That's when, or if again, like if someone pulled that rug out from you, that's the
D-Day.
I got blindsided. So I was making my sandbags quick. The storm was already here. I didn't know which way was up.
So what are some of the things you were doing? Like what?
I think one of the things I did to prepare unknowingly was hate him. I had to make myself hate him
In order to release.
to leave.
Okay.
And then everything that he ever did that I liked, I had to make myself not.
Make it not.
Because I needed the pain of knowing I was going to leave. And also in the middle of legal separation, like we signed papers that like we're separating, that we don't want to say divorce yet because we might want to try to work it out. We were going to maybe go through counseling, all the things.
So divorce with training wheels.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, someone didn't know. Someone didn't realize it was happening because they were either all consumed, a narcissist, that like whatever you want to say was the other cause. And again, I really loved last week's episode because that rescuer, victim, persecutor.
She said we all have a little bit of narcissism.
We all have that. Yeah. I think you have to be negative sometimes when a negative character or a villain in someone's story in order to get out of an abusive relationship, find your footing after someone cheats on you and they're like, I'm done, I'm going to live with that other person, or you need to leave, or you don't know why you need to leave, but you know that this isn't healthy for your family. So I think when we say preparing sandbags, I think we all go through this mental checklist in our head, like a lot. And I don't know what I don't know what the physical sandbag would look like, but the proverbial one is, what's my finances? Where am I going to live? Do I have to get a new car? Do I have to get a new house? Which friends can I rely on? And a lot of times that is upside down. You are in the waves crashing and you can't find your way up. And that first time when you get relief from the storm coming in, I don't know, you always get the gray sky. Like when I'm thinking of storm, like right now it's cloudy outside. You can see the clouds rolling in over the mountain. It's drizzling a little bit. You have all this stuff. And I don't know how you can prepare. You can put the windows up. You can close the windows in the house. You can get the dogs in, the furniture moved in, do all the things. But until your toe is touching that storm, there's not really a way to prepare.
Mine was more, so my physical sandbag was, I was not leaving the house.
Okay.
I moved downstairs in the home theater, got some Egyptian sheets, slept on the futon, had the home theater. It was a bachelor pad. Wrong word. But anyway.
Were you bringing women into that? It wasn't a bachelor pad.
It was a bachelor.
I guess it was.
It was a possible bachelor pad.
Yeah.
So my job was to survive. So my thing was to see the kids every day. See them in the morning, see them at night. I was not moving out. So she pulled the thing where this is like Kramer versus Kramer, where the man has to leave. I said, show me the playbook where the man has to leave. I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, because the second you leave, it's abandonment.
Yeah. So I stayed. Someone told me, or we need to use the same lawyer, which you can't because that's conflict of interest. Oh yeah. All these things I was told would have worked against me.
Yeah.
So I got my ducks in a row. I got all my ducks in a row, put them side by side. I got my ducks in a row. Wow, Freudian slip. I got my ducks in a row and I...
What do you do in your own time?
Got a lawyer, talked to some people who were... a lot of my friends were going through a divorce at the same time I was. So talked to them a little bit, tried to heal. But my two storms are different because remember, she pulled the trigger the first time and I convinced her to rescind and we got back together. And then she pulled the trigger the second time. I was like, let's go. So the second time I was ready.
Yeah.
So my sandbags were huge. They were over the top of the edge of the building. Yeah. The storm surge wasn't going to jack me. So I was ready. And I think that getting your sandbags ready is more mental than anything else because you got to get in that headspace. And I was in a beautiful headspace the second time. I was like, yeah, let's do this. And I think she was surprised. She was like, what? I said, hey, let's go.
Yeah.
At this point, whatever it cost me, and it cost me a pretty penny. I was ready to take it in the shorts.
Yeah. I don't know that. I think I had this misconception that it was going to be easy to get divorced.
I think everybody does.
Like,
I think that's very common. Yeah.
The marriage, I signed a paper, I walked down the aisle, and then I was married,
And
right?
so just reverse of a marriage.
And then I was
Nope.
like, oh,
Hello.
shit. I don't want to split the dog in half.
Yep.
All the parent
Or the toaster.
the parenting things and starting a new life when you've had a long life together, 24 years, is very difficult. And again, that's why we're always like, if you can work it out, but if
Yep.
it's unhealthy, it is not. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, that while also having to put on a different face. I had to make sure my son was taken care of. I had all these different levels that I had to work through, and also take care of myself. A lot of it is, I think mine was, no matter how I was feeling when I was in the presence of my children, I wasn't going to make the situation worse for them.
It was almost like Hollywood, where you had
Yeah.
to play a part,
Mhm.
even though you're feeling like shit and
Yeah.
feeling horrible. You had to put a smile on your face and say, hey, we're doing great. Everything's great.
I think too, a lot of, I don't want to just say for men or for women, but being a woman, I think a lot of times we are viewed at depending on that other person. And yeah, I had a job, but financially, he was the breadwinner,
Mhm.
and I was the one involved in the school and all the things. And I think when he wasn't that person anymore, all those responsibilities now get put on you, right? Even if they're picking up the slack, or even if they're a good co-parent, you still have to take on both roles, because now in your home, you're the mom and the dad.
Mhm.
And then that hopefully the co-parent is the mom and the dad there too, doing all the roles together. And you're just like, oh, it would be easier to go back.
Yep.
And so when you realize, I'm not going back, that is not an option, the weight of the world, those sandbags can be really heavy. And you're just like, I just need to breathe. I just need
Take a second.
someone to, not someone, but I just need something to give, because I can't keep taking those waves coming in. I know
It's
the
almost
storm's
like
coming.
you need a positive moment.
Yeah, my sandbag, I'm not filling up the sandbags quick enough. There's not enough sand yet. And there's not enough power, confidence, strength, all the things that we need to find when we're going through a divorce, especially when you're starting over somewhere new where you have no family. Like my family was in the middle of a divorce. The rest of my family was back east. So yes, I could call them. There's a 2-hour time difference. Most of the time after my son went to sleep is when I fell apart and I didn't sleep and I didn't all the things, or started drinking or whatever. And so I think what happens too is when you don't know what's coming, that frantic sandbags, you're throwing things in that aren't helping, right? You're putting things in there that, why would we put more water in there? That's not working.
So like sandbag full of cotton balls.
Yeah. And it's like, we're trying to put the towels against the door because the water's coming into the house. There's just a lot of things that preparing for divorce, if you didn't know it was coming, of course, is one thing, but preparing for it, and you've been the one contemplating and like, I don't know where I fit in this situation. I don't know where I fit in this life. This is definitely not my marriage. This is definitely not what I asked for when I went down the aisle. This is not
identity.
Yeah. And so when you're looking for that, you're like, oh yeah, go get that mesh bag and put sand in it. Go get that, anything that will hold that waste basket, the laundry basket with the holes in it. Go grab that. That'll help. But no, you're really just not. You're filling up the bags, but you're not filling up yourself until you start healing a little bit and start doing. And I think journaling and counseling and all those things are things that you need those need to be part of your sandbags. Those need to be part of, okay, here it comes.
Here we go.
The first court date, the second court date, the parenting class, all the things that go into getting divorced, they suck. And if you don't prepare, you're going in going, I'm ready, but I only have myself.
You are so right. We have no clue. I had no clue. You had no clue. People going into the divorce realm have no clue.
Yeah.
And we can talk to you till you're blue in the face. And what usually happens, that people I talk to going to divorce, they said, man, I should have listened to you. I was like, dude, I tried to tell you. This is going to be a cluster.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be great. You're going to divide stuff. And
which is fine if you could be like that.
That does happen. But 99% of the time, amicability, which is not a word, sucks. amicability.
Yeah, I think because this is part three parts, preparing for anything that's devastating is really that self. I need to go in myself. And like we were saying, like a lot of times when I have an issue, I will go in to do that when you're talking to yourself in your head, not like out loud or anything, but you're like, all right, Rachel, what are we going to do now?
Here we go.
Okay, here's what you've been faced with. What does it look like? What is it similar to? It's a death. You have to grieve it, all the parts. And we've talked about grief a lot on the podcast. And it comes in waves. Again, it comes in, you might be angry for 3 days and then you're like in denial. Nope, this isn't happening. I'm dreaming. This can't be fucking true. Or I think what happens too is you have to be vulnerable enough to say, I am worth healing and doing this the right way. So it's good for everybody. And again, I had to hate him to leave. But once I left, I got the guilt of, you left, you abandoned us. It was your fault. You did this. And I took that. I took that on because I felt guilty for leaving. But if I didn't leave, Lord, I'd be an angry elf.
I think that roller coaster ride that you go through is part of those sandbags. And the realization of that the roller coaster ride is going to be there is a huge sandbag. And trying to develop those realistic expectations and say, hey, this is going to go great.
Oh, yeah.
That he or she is going to agree to this. This is going to be a piece of cake. The lawyers are going to do quick work and it'll be cheap.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, no.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, anytime you can prepare for something great, but again, like a death, like most times someone passes away, it's unexpected, unless they're elderly or whatever. And those hit you and you either pony up or you're like, done. You're like, oh, okay, I can't move on. And so I think what happens is preparing for most of the things in your life. You're like, I think from day one, like I was the hopeless romantic. There's no like things binding. Like we didn't have a will. We didn't have all this stuff. And I said, day one, you need to have a life plan. So if something goes rogue, what's going to happen and you can prepare for it. And again, you don't get married to get divorced. You also have to have, like you said, realistic expectations of this is how we want it to look. It's hopefully it's similar. And a lot of times it's just, okay, hold on, here we go. And so I don't know. This one is, again, I did not realize how hard this was going to be to get divorced. And it still creeps up 4.5 years later going, oh yeah, that's right. Like today I was cleaning stuff out of bins that I have and it has memorable things in it. And I found like my wedding album thing where people sign. I'll go, that's sad. And then I put it back in the box and I moved on. 2 years ago, I would have been like, this is the worst, cried, done all the things, whatever. But through healing and preparing, I think in healing too, you're also preparing yourself for future.
For the worst or the best.
Yeah. And getting into something new. I don't want to take up the next couple episodes, but getting your sandbags together now will help you eventually when you're out of it going, nope, I'm not going to deal with, nope, no, we're not going to do that. It's
it gives you a foundation.
Yeah. I think it's okay. We've emptied the sandbags. They're all laying. Here's all the sand for the next storm. And slowly you can take them away if you know those with your next person, your next thing. So yes, we're going to eventually get through the storm and there's going to be a lot of cleanup and there's going to be a lot of stuff. Getting your sandbags in a row and getting your life.
What happens?
Know your financials. That was one of the big ones for me.
What happens if every row of sandbags is an emotion?
Jesus Christ.
Like you got that bottom row, that raw anger. And then the next row's like hate. And then there's disgust, anguish. Every row is and it goes from mean to nice. But when you go from mean to nice, you lose control. Yeah.
And I think wanting to control really is, I'm afraid. If I need to control a situation, it's because I've been here before. I've seen this. This looks familiar. This, whatever's happening around me seems to be familiar to me.
Yeah, but I want a different end result.
Exactly. And I'm going to protect myself with all those walls. I'm going to protect myself until
Sandbags.
Yeah. I'm going to protect myself until I feel safe enough where I don't have to. And they're going to come down a little bit at a time. We're just taking out like teaspoons of sand, and that's okay. And no matter what works for you, it's your journey and no one else lives your life. So don't apologize for healing the way you do. Now, if you're stuck in anger and your friend's like, girl, that's enough. Maybe listen to her a little and be less angry. But the quicker you get through all those emotions and the quicker you say, what does it really matter eventually?
Let it go.
Yeah, you can really you can help yourself heal. And again, there'll be days like, motherfuck, what the fuck? I don't know what to do. And the only thing you can think of is the fuck word. So I think we need to be more gracious with ourselves. And we also need to know that this is our journey and no one else's.
You need to lean in those emotions. So you need those different levels of sandbags.
Mm-hmm.
But when the storm is over, you don't need sandbags anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So you, like you said, you take.
You got to keep one in your pocket though, because I feel like you just keep a pocket full of sand shells for weapons, and eventually if you need a bag, because shit comes up, and I think your ability to see, a lot of people say I can smell a storm coming, or a lot of people from here like to watch the tornado storm things, which is weird to me. Back east, if we had one, we're like, run for shelter. What is that? I don't know, because this doesn't happen. So I think you need to know the signs of the storm is coming. You need to educate yourself enough to go, yep, this looks familiar. Those clouds are really dark, or, the hail shit that comes out of the sky here is, didn't see till I got here.
Especially the second and third marriage. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's a different storm.
Yeah.
That's a different storm that you did.
I think you haven't healed if you get into another marriage. And then I think a lot of people haven't healed and they need someone else to heal them. And they're like, oh, yep.
Instead of dating, they get married.
I'm going to do it different. And they're like, I need to be married to have an identity, because that's what I've only ever had.
Damn.
So figure out what you're using for your sandbags. In the beginning, it's a fucking waste basket with holes in it.
So what's the best thing to put in your sandbags besides sand?
Rocks. Broken heart. Throw that in there.
Yeah, but the water comes between the rocks, so sand's better than rocks.
Yeah, but it slows it down. Do you ever see that thing with the jar and the professor?
Yeah.
And he fills it up, and then there's still room. And that's a really good. Check it. I don't know who does it, but the analogy of there's still more space and there's still more to be done.
So what's the one thing you want to tell people out there about sandbagging? That's something totally different.
Teabagging.
That's don't put tea bags on the sandbags.
Don't put sand in your tea bag. Okay, where did this go? Oh my God, David.
If you're putting tea bags on your sandbags, you're screwed. That's
you like grit in your teeth.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
What's that smell?
No, I think
it's like this.
I think your perspective, you'd have to get the perspective on the rug pulling out from under you. And mine is, I was willing to do a separation if we were both willing to work on it. And then it was like, oh, obviously you don't give a fuck, so I need to hate you. And then I was like, nope, I'm out, bye. And I had some ducks in a row. Like, I had a place to go if I needed it. If you need something, let me know. I knew I wouldn't starve. I knew I, had enough gas to get to work that was like 4 minutes away. I could walk if I had to. So I knew there were ways to get out. And so I was kind of, okay, fuck you. And it was really like I had to hate him. Yeah. And I don't hate him. I just had to hate him.
Hate him then.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I would say. So what would you say for the getting the rug pulled out from under you?
God.
I feel like it's frantic, right? The frantic, I was sleeping for 4 days. I didn't know we were getting a storm. And oh shit, the storm is a mile away.
Once again, I had two storms. So the first storm, I was just a mess.
Yeah.
Just a freaking mess. The second storm,
how long did that last? Like, how long was
the first storm? It lasted probably 4 months.
Okay. So 4 months of, did you get any other ducks in a row? Like, did you prepare?
No, I was too busy trying to.
You were naive.
Yeah, I was too busy trying to fix it.
Okay.
And not realizing that it wouldn't work in the long run. Yeah. Playing armchair quarterback is easy, but man, that first time I had no direction. I was
devastation.
Screwed. Yeah.
Yeah, there was actually devastation.
Yeah, but second time I was like, all right, baby, let's go.
Let's
Hoop,
get it.
hoop.
Yeah.
Hoop, hoop. How about teabagging? Hoop, hoop.
Okay.
That comes later after the storm surge.
Okay. What you and your friends do in your spare time is up to you, David.
Lipton tea bags do help.
Lipton. Uh-huh.
Lipton tea bags do help clotting.
Oh.
Yeah. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
The tannic acid inside it can stop, like a socket. When you pull a tooth and it bleeds too long, you can bite on a tea bag and it'll stop.
Really?
Yep.
That's cool.
There you go, folks.
Look at that.
Some
We're
dental,
giving you some scientific facts.
dental scientific facts. But we hope everybody has a great day. Hope you had a great Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Because it was nice here in Colorado Springs.
We went to a retirement that was seeing all Lance's old friends and stuff and people retiring. And he's only 51 and retiring. I was like, buddy, what's up with that?
There we go. Get on that train.
So, yeah.
All right. Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Right. Get on the world. Love train.